In the world today, one of the most valuable assets you have as a business person is your network. We've become a global society. We can reach out to people all over the world, but we have to have a way to systematize what we do and make it easy, because it's really hard to keep track of thousands of people. And in your lifetime, you will meet thousands of people. So if your network is your net worth, I'm sure you've heard that before, then what can you do to build and maintain that network so that it is leverageable and you can use it whenever you need it? So what are some of the things you need to do with your network once you have one? Stay in touch with them. Reach out to them.
Support them.
Support them.
Maybe use them as like a referral base too.
Use them as a referral base. You might need resources. Some of you might be business owners. Raise your hand if you own your business. Okay, quite a few. You might need funding for that business at some point. You might need employees. You might want to reach out to people who could possibly buy from you as well. So we want to make sure that we are always thinking about who should be in our network, how do we get them into our network, how do we keep them in our network, and make sure that we nurture them and make it worthwhile for them to be in our network. You see, it's a two-way street. So networking encompasses so many things. We're going to be networking later on this evening when we finish this portion, where you're going to get to meet people. It could be online that you're meeting people. I've made some amazing relationships, and I've gotten remarkable resources and business from networking online, and you can too. But you really have to be more strategic about it. And that's what this is all about. We're going to learn how to be more strategic about the way that we network. We're going to think about it more. Because what do we usually do? Oh, there's an event. Grab some business cards? Maybe, maybe not. Get in the car, drive to the event, get out, walk in, find somebody we know, go straight for them, chat with the people we know, right? Eat a little, and then leave. Raise your hand if that sounded familiar. Yeah. So we want to change that just a little bit. And that's what we're going to talk about. What do we do before, during, and after networking that will give us the results that we all want? And that it might be different for all of you. Some of you might be looking for a job, and that might be the result you want. Some of you may be looking to build your business. Some of you may be looking for your spouse, your future spouse, or a hiking partner. But whatever it is you're looking for when you're out there networking, whether it's business or personal or both, I want to make sure you can get it. And I want to make sure that you have the skills you need so that your network is leverageable for whatever you may need it for in the future. I want to get to know you. I want to connect with you in a way that allows me to utilize that relationship in some way. I want to help you. I want you to help me. I don't even know what that is yet. And a lot of times when we're out networking, instead of connecting, we're just looking for people who can buy from us. And that is the least useful kind of networking. So we're going to talk about that. So as I said earlier, the most valuable asset you have as a business person is your network. It's not the money that you have in the bank, because without your network, you can't do much with that money. Right? It's not the buildings that you own, because if you can't fill those buildings up with people, what good is it? So we really have to think about what our network is worth. Now, that guy does not like to network, does he? Does anybody ever feel like that? Sometimes. Yeah, right? Maybe you feel a little like that because you're thinking, oh, now I got to go meet these people that I don't know what to say to them. You know, I don't know them. I don't want you to feel like that. But why do people feel that way about networking?
Lack of confidence.
Lack of confidence? Don't know how to do it. Feel a little forced. Yeah. Right. Stepping out of the comfort zone. And for me, one of the reasons I don't like to network, and I love networking, but one of the reasons I don't like it is because people rush up to me, give me their business card, and try to sell me something. And they really don't care about me at all. And I don't want to be put in that position or have to be rude to someone because, you know, they're talking to me all night about their business. And I really wanted to network and connect with people and get to know those people and get them into my network and figure out how I could help them, right? So then later on, they'll want to help me. So that's one thing I don't like about it. And I think sometimes that's what people do. Either that, or they stand around in a tight-knit circle talking to the people that they already know, and there's no possible way for me to break into that. So let me ask you, do any of you feel like you are wasting time networking? I see some eyes, and yeah, sometimes, right? Or are you wasting your networking time? So you leave and you go, oh, that was a waste of time. I chatted with my friends, ate something and left. Yeah, you're right, it probably was a waste of time. Not that it isn't always great to see our friends, don't get me wrong, I think that's awesome. But when you are in a room full of people who you could be collaborating with or using as a resource or possibly even could be your customer, and you only talk to your friends, you are definitely wasting your time. You have an opportunity that you're not taking a hold of. We are not here to sell anything to anybody when we're networking. We are here to connect and learn. And then once we've learned, now we know whether that person should be in our network or not, and how they can participate in our network. Is this someone I can help? Can they help me? Can they be a resource? Are they a future employee of my company? Are they somebody that possibly I can do business with down the road, right? But it's really about building relationships that can lead to sales or other resources. I love attorneys and accountants because they have a lot of small businesses that they work with. I like attorneys that help startups because they can tell me about these startup companies and get me introduced to them so when they're ready to sell, I can help them. I like accountants because they always know when their clients need to sell more, don't they? So they can tell me, hey, I went to Indiana University, and there are exactly 11 of us here in Reno. But I have found them. And we didn't go to school there at the same time. We didn't study the same thing, but we're like a family because we all went to Indiana University. So think about these groups, these networks, right, that you can build on your own and that you can be a part of, maybe in a different way than you had thought of before. Now, when my son was young, one of my best clients was his baseball coach. Now, how did I get that baseball coach to know that I was a sales consultant? Well, I didn't walk around going, hi, I'm Alice Hyman. Listen, I'm a sales consultant. No, I see you're the parent of little Jimmy there. Let me tell you all about what I do. I did not do that. But what I did do, instead of sitting with a clique of parents every time, I moved around and met all the parents and got to know them. I got to learn about them and what they do and about their kids. And I helped the coach. And I was a good helper. So, you know, he would ask me, well, what do you do? Right? And I would tell him a little bit about it here and there when I was helping. And then one day he called me and said, my company needs what you do. And I had a new client. You make sure that you've connected enough at the event so that they'll take your call the next day. How many of you put your events on your calendar? Of course, you'd forget to go if you didn't. How many of you put time on your calendar to follow up after the event? Oh, good. That's more hands than I usually see. Most people put the event on their calendar, but they do not put the follow-up time. And so then what happens is you gather all these business cards and you get back to your office and you put them in a neat little pile on your desk. And you have no time to follow up, you're off to the next thing. 2 weeks later, you're like, okay, these cards have now moved from this neat little pile, they're scattered all over. Where did I meet that person? You have no idea. So if you promise yourself that every time you put a networking event on your calendar, you put the follow-up time on your calendar, you will automatically get better results than you're getting now. Think about your networking clothing. Do you feel comfortable? Does it bring out your personality? Do they fit well? I mean, there's nothing worse than, you're fidgeting and trying to keep your skirt up or your jacket, or whatever's going on, your tie keeps flopping around. Make sure your clothes are not interrupting your networking time. You should be able to say what you do in a way that's engaging and it rolls right off your tongue. So if somebody says to you, "What do you do?" and let's say you're a realtor, that's not a good answer. "Hi, I'm a realtor." "Oh, okay, well, I don't need another realtor. I already know 10. So go the other way. But if instead you said something like, "I help young people buy their first home," that's much more interesting than "I'm a realtor." So the way that you tell people what you do can either make it easy for you to connect and get to know them, or make it hard for you to connect, or actually repel. "Oh, I sell insurance. Okay, see ya." "I don't need any life insurance, please. Don't try to sell me life insurance." And your job is to meet new people, not congregate in a tight circle with the people you already know and not let anybody else break in. I mean, I'm very outgoing, but it's even hard for someone like me to break into a circle of people who are talking to each other. I wouldn't even try. They would look at me like I was crazy. "What are you doing? We're having a conversation. Get out." But let's not do that. Let's be the ones who open our circle and step back when we see a new person coming and allow them in. Let's be the people who move about the room and practice good networking and model it. And we're the ambassadors of good networking. And get around and meet new people. How do you approach people that you don't know and have a comfort level with it? Well, the first and easiest thing you can do is find somebody else who's all alone. So you walk in the room and you go, "Okay, I gotta find somebody that's standing by themselves so I can connect with them and get comfortable and feel better in the room," right? The other thing you can do is go straight for the cocktails, have a few sips, and then you'll be able to mingle a little bit better. But I like to look for the other people in the room who probably feel just like me. "I don't know anybody," right? So go for them and say, "Hi, looks like you don't know anybody here either. I don't know anybody. Is this your first time?" Strike up a conversation. They'll feel so relieved that someone came to talk to them. If it's a sitting event, like we're going to be doing later, sit next to somebody that you don't know. And then, just turn around and be the one to say hello. If there are two people talking, be careful about approaching them. When there's just two, you have no idea what they could be talking about. And it might be something that you really didn't want to hear. So if there's just two people, unless they're really lively and, have some distance between them, as you start walking towards them, if they look at you, that's fine. But if they're standing kind of close together and their voices aren't too loud, not a good idea. Better to go for a larger group, 3 or more. Just approach, catch their eyes, smile, stand there for a minute, listen, and catch up with what they're talking about. And then when the time is right, they'll either ask who you are, or you'll be able to say, "Hi, thanks for letting me sneak into your group. I'm new here. I don't know anybody." And then if you are shy, the easiest thing to do is ask questions versus try to talk about yourself. The way they get to know us is not necessarily by us talking and telling. They get to know us also by how we listen and the questions that we ask. They think, "Gosh, that's a really good question." They know you care because you're asking questions. And so that will help you feel more comfortable. And remember, there's no selling at a networking event. We're connecting, and therefore we're not going to sell our product or service. We might take somebody's number, get their card, even schedule time with them, but we won't do it at the event. Because also we want to meet some other people, and if we stand there selling to that one person, we're not going to get around to anybody else anyway. So even if they want you to tell about your products and services, don't do it. Say, I'd love to do that. How about coffee tomorrow? When you start to feel like the conversation, it's time for it to wrap up, there's a couple of things you can do. One of them is you can take a step away from the person, just a real small little step. So you're putting a little more distance between the two of you. You can get your business card out and get ready to hand it to them. So you're giving them some body language clues that you're ready to wrap the conversation up. Now, if there's one of those people that just, you haven't said a word, they've just talk, you might actually have to interrupt them, which you may have already tried to do a few times and it didn't work. But if they take a breath, or even if they don't, you just say, "It was nice to meet you." And they'll now get a auditory cue, right? They'll get an auditory clue that we're ending this conversation. So if they're talking, you know, you can even touch them on it was so nice to meet you, but your body, you're backing away. It was so nice to meet you. Let me get your card. Tell me, what kind of clients are you looking for? Now I've just redirected the conversation with a question. I've given some cues that I'm wrapping up here. And she's like, oh, I'm gonna get to tell you what kind of business I want now. So she'll tell me, I'm looking for this type of customer. It also gives you permission then to tell them, well, thank you, I'll keep that in mind. You don't have to promise to send them any clients. You just say, thank you, I'll keep that in mind. And I'm looking for, and then you can go ahead and tell them and say, enjoy the event, and walk away. That connecting and that relationship building, so when you do your follow-up, which you have plenty of time to do because it was on your calendar, they want to connect with you further. They accept your LinkedIn connection. They accept your offer to go to coffee. And then you can really dig in and get to know them and determine whether there's somebody who can be a collaborator, a referral source, or possibly someone that you're going to do business with, either now or in the future. If you want to be able to tell people what kind of business you're looking for and have that just roll right off your tongue and sound really fabulous and get them to go, oh, okay, I'll keep that in mind. You got to write it down and then you got to practice it. That's the only way you get better at it. Practice it and then go do it. And then if you didn't like the way it sounded, change it. And practice some more and do it again. It's the fun thing about it. You go to networking events all the time. You can practice this stuff and change it up and then really come up with the things that work best for you. I'm glad you could all be here with me. I want you to get out there and network.